Welcome back, everyone. This is part two of my video where I rank all the current Marvel Cinematic Universe films that have been released as of the first quarter of 2026. So obviously later on this year, two more MCU movies will hit the big screen. Those being Spider-Man Brand New Day and Avengers Doomsday. So obviously, since both movies have not been released, they will not be included in this ranking. So not counting those two movies, they have been a total of 37 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. So that's quite a lot. So in my first video, if you've not seen it, be sure to go check that out. The first video, I ranked the movies in my opinion, in order from worst to best, from 37 to 26. So what I'm going to do here in this video is I'm going to rank the rest of the movies from 25 over to 1. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So number 25, I have Ant-Man and the Wasp. I thought this was a nice, follow-up to the first Ant-Man movie. We finally see Hope, don the Wasp outfit, and of course, this is like bridges the gaps between the events happening in that movie and then the events, the fallout from Avengers Infinity War. Because towards the end of this movie, that the events towards the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, that happens right at the tail end of what went down at the conclusion of Infinity War, where Thanos gathered all the Infinity Stones, snapped his fingers, and wiped out, half of all life across the universe. So, definitely a nice mix of some action, adventure, and comedy, leaning a little more towards the action side, but nothing wrong with that. I still thought it was a solid movie, solid follow up to the first Ant-Man movie. All right, so number 24, I have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Very fun, space adventure type movie. The soundtrack, a fantastic soundtrack. Peter Quill, he has fantastic music that, he rocks out to. So, but yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was definitely a fun movie. It's one of those movies that I wouldn't mind seeing, over and over again. So, that is number 24, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Okay, so at number 23, I have Spider-Man Far From Home. This is the second Spider-Man movie in the MCU. This is the one that stars Tom Holland as well as Zendaya. This was a pretty good movie, following up, the first Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Homecoming. But Spider-Man Homecoming, I thought, was head and shoulders above Far From Home. Like, Far From Home was still a good movie, but I just didn't. It just didn't seem like that. Exciting to me compared. To the first movie as well as the third one. Yeah. So that's number 23. Spider-Man: Far From Home. Number 22 is Ant-Man. Yes, Ant-Man. You gotta love the on-screen, the on-screen chemistry and everything from, Paul Rudd, Michael Pena, T.I. It was just pure comedy. Like lots of like funny moments, lots of funny lines in that movie, and yeah, Ant-Man was just like definitely like a fun, creative way to introduce this character into, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But Ant-Man, I thought, was definitely like a fun, enjoyable movie. So that's why I have it ranked at number 22. And number 21, I have Iron Man 3. Yeah, Iron Man 3, I know it's been getting like a lot of mixed reactions. Some people liked it, some people didn't. Thought I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was like somewhere in the middle, but leaning a little more towards like the positive side of it. Um, Iron Man 3. I thought was a good movie. I thought it was better than the second one. Honestly, I thought it was better than Iron Man 2. Definitely not better than the first one. You know, but yeah, that's my opinion on Iron Man 3. I'm not really a whole lot to say about it. I just thought it's good for what it was. So number 20 is Thor. So Thor was part of Phase 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and this was definitely a good way to get this character introduced, into the MCU, and the movie overall I thought was good. It was rock solid. I like the on screen chemistry, between Chris Hemsworth and Natalie Portman. So Thor I thought was a great movie. There in the Thor series, I thought there was one movie that was better than the first Thor, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Number 19, Black Widow. Again, I'm like a sucker for good action slash espionage type movies. And Black Widow, felt just like that. And we actually got to follow in Black Widow's, footsteps. Actually get this get a little peek into, you know, the past, of Black Widow. Um, like, how she got her upbringing, like what her life was like, and her family, and this was like I thought it was a great movie. I think this was obviously one of a handful of movies in the multiverse saga that I thought was really good. There are other movies that I have in the top 25 that came from the multiverse saga that I thought were fantastic. But Black Widow, I definitely enjoyed that. It was also a great way to introduce us uh, to the character of Yelena. So we get a sneak peek. We get a peek at Natasha's sister. And by the way, Rachel Weisz was amazing as well. Red Guardian. Yeah, Red Guardian. That's all you can say. He was Red Guardian was fantastic. David Harbour, great casting choice to play Red Guardian. So that was number 19, Black Widow. Speaking of Red Guardian, um, number 18 is Thunderbolts. So Thunderbolts, aka the New Avengers. Um, this was a pretty good movie. I really enjoyed it. I had a great time, checking this movie out. I seen it twice when it was playing in theaters, and yeah, it was definitely a good time. This was definitely a nice way to introduce a brand new team into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. My only gripe is Taskmaster. I feel as though they probably could have done a little bit more with Taskmaster. So I was a little stunned that they killed her off. So it is what it is, unfortunately. But I mean, you're going to hear me echo that again later on in this countdown, as I kind of mentioned a little bit from my part one video. So that's coming up a little bit later. 17 is Spider-Man No Way Home. Um, this was, an amazing movie. Obviously, with the big highlight, being, the previous Spider-Man coming together, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, joining forces, with, Tom Holland's Spider-Man. That was obviously like, the highlight of the movie, and that was just like absolutely, incredible, like seeing this like unfold, you know, in front of our very eyes. And I thought it was very well done, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen um, in the new Spider-Man installment, which is, of course, Spider-Man, Brand New Day. So that is Spider-Man No Way Home at number 17. Number 16, I gotta go with Iron Man. This is the movie that set the standard. This is the movie that kick-started the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Robert Downey Jr., of course, was absolutely incredible, a fantastic choice to play Tony Stark. Um, and when I think of Iron Man 1, I think of, you know, that final scene uh, where Nick Fury is in his house and he tells him, I want to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative. Like, that gave me absolute chills because everyone that's familiar with Marvel Comics and are familiar with, the Marvel superheroes, as soon as Nick Fury um, uttered those words, we all basically knew what was coming. So Iron Man is, what paved the way for everything that followed afterwards. So Iron Man is ranked in the 16th spot, in my opinion. Number 15, Captain Marvel. Um, Brie Larson has done an amazing job, playing Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel. Um, Captain Marvel is arguably one of the strongest characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Hell, look what she damn near did to Thanos, in Avengers Endgame. And so, Captain Marvel, I believe is, definitely a fantastic, movie. And I'm also I also really enjoy, like a lot of those like space action adventure type movies. So I had a great time, watching this movie as well. Um, the score, the soundtrack, all that was great. So that's why I have Captain Marvel ranked number 15. Number 14, Doctor Strange. Benedict Cumberbatch. Thank you. You've done an amazing job playing Doctor Strange. Um, like his character, his whole demeanor, coming across as I'm untouchable and coming off as arrogant and cocky, and then as in a strange twist of fate, he gets into that accident. Um, Doctor Strange being like a award-winning surgeon, the tools of his trade that he needs, his hands, they're severely damaged. So now he's got to find new meaning, new purpose in his life. So, a bit of a reality check for Dr. Stephen Strange. And, he ultimately does find his calling, as a sorcerer. And, the rest they say, is history. And I have a very good feeling that Doctor Strange will most likely play a pivotal role in the upcoming Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. So we will wait and see. So that's number 14, Doctor Strange. Number 13, Deadpool and Wolverine. This was absolutely incredible. Like, I don't remember the last time I, laughed a lot. I laughed so hard, you know, from watching, any type of movie basically. And those two like have it down pat. Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, and then Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, donning Wolverine's comic book outfit. That was definitely a holy crap moment. So, I mean, this is a nice way to introduce these two into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Which way they're gonna go, what kind of role are they both gonna play moving forward? We're gonna have to wait and see. Okay, moving along, we have number 12, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Honestly, I knew very little about, Shang-Chi headed into the movie when it opened. So I just went in there, no expectations, just, clear mind, just excited to see what I would witness. And I thought it was, a great movie. It was a great movie, great casting. I enjoyed, every bit of the movie, start to finish. I personally had nothing bad to say about this movie, but it was just obviously there were other movies I thought, were better than this one. So that is Shang-Chi at number 12. Number 11, Captain America, the First Avenger. This was, an incredible movie. I love, the visual effects and, seeing, the origin story of Steve Rogers. How he goes from, someone that wants to serve his country, but, he's has challenges, from, his stature, and his endurance to all of a sudden receiving that super soldier serum and becoming, the strongest soldier, in the world. Somebody that no one wants to go toe to toe against. And then, just how how they were able to bridge everything together, from, that time frame where the majority of the movie takes place, and then bringing him into, the present day when he's found, buried in the ice and then defrosted, and then he's, reawakened and realizing that, hey, he's now in like the 21st century. So, again, Captain America: First Avenger was a fantastic movie. I had nothing bad to say about it. I just thought, in my opinion, there were other movies that were, better than that. And then with that, we're now entering what I believe, in my opinion, are the top 10 best MCU movies to date. So let's see where I rank these movies. So number 10, Fantastic Four: First Steps. So yeah, like I mentioned, there were some multiverse saga movies that I thought highly of. I mean, obviously not all of them, but there were a handful that I thought were really good. And Fantastic Four: First Steps was definitely one of them. I love the casting choice for this movie. I love that whole, futuristic but retro style that they went with. I thought it worked. It was very clever. And the executives at 20th Century Fox / Studios, or the former executives that were there, I hope they were actually watching that movie, because that's what Galactus looks like. Like, tall, intimidating, very scary. He's not a cloud. So if you have not seen it, Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer. That was the second Fantastic Four movie under 20th Century Fox. They had Galactus show up on screen as a cloud. Um, yeah, that's not Galactus. The Galactus you saw in Fantastic Four First Steps, that is Galactus. And I'm actually very happy that they did not kill him off. Because, yeah, this is one of a handful of antagonists, in my opinion, that they can do more with. So, yeah, I'm very glad that they went the route that they did go with Galactus, and I'm excited to see how he makes his way, back into the screen and, back into, a future storyline. So number 9, I have Spider-Man Homecoming. So this was, a great movie, seeing Spider-Man in his teenage years, trying to balance, school life, personal life, while at the same time being that friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Oh, and while at the same time, trying to, can keep his identity a secret. Um, all while, going through, the normal stuff that, a teenage kid goes through. So lots of different things that he has to juggle with, and I thought they did, a great job with that. And then obviously, like, having Tony Stark there as, like a guardian or, someone overseeing him, a mentor. I thought that was clever. Like the on-screen batter between the two, I thought was great. So that was number 9, Spider-Man: Homecoming. Number 8, I have Thor: Ragnarok. So yes, the entire Thor series. Out of all 4 Thor movies, I thought Ragnarok was the best one. I thought it was a great mix of action, great mix of comedy. It had its serious moments as well. It definitely played, a key role into how, the Infinity Saga played out. And yeah, every bit of this movie, I was eating it up, and I thought like this movie did it for me. This was like a great movie. Obviously, as I mentioned before, the best in the Thor series, in my opinion. So that's number 8, Thor: Ragnarok. Number 7, Captain America: Civil War. This was a great movie. The heroes, they tasted a little bit of defeat. They technically were defeated. Because, with the antagonist, the goal was to rip the Avengers apart and turn them against each other. And that's exactly what happened. And this movie also, like, plays a role with the Avengers team about, like, hey, you've had all the success, but what happens when things go wrong and you guys break apart and you're on the verge of tearing each other down, tearing each other apart. So it's basically, the Avengers failing. The Avengers actually failing, and then after the events of Captain America's Civil War wrap up, how do they come together? And we'll discuss that in just a moment. So that is number 7, Captain America: Civil War. Number 6, I have Guardians of the Galaxy. So this is the first one, Volume 1. I love this movie. Of the 3 Guardians movies, this is obviously the best one in my opinion. Fantastic soundtrack. Great casting choice. I love, the character interactions, the character development. Um, yeah, it was great mix of action, comedy, like one or two sad moments here and there. But other than that, this was, in my opinion, one of the best MCU movies, to date. Um, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume One, I still watch on occasion because I've enjoyed it that much. So that was number 6. Number 5, Black Panther. Uh, yes, I love the setting. I love the costume design. I love the casting. The storyline was fantastic. Um, my one little gripe about Black Panther, and yes, they killed off Killmonger. Um, Still gets me a little upset thinking about it. I believe they could have done a little bit more with the character Killmonger. Um, so I was like quite disappointed that they went in the direction that they went as far as the storyline. Um, yes, Killmonger does appear in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, but as like a hallucination when Shuri becomes the new Black Panther. But it's just a hallucination. He's technically not really having that much of a huge impact. So yeah, I wish they would have done something different instead of killing off Michael B. Jordan's character. But had they went a different direction with Killmonger, I think Black Panther probably would have been ranked a little bit higher. But yeah, I have it ranked right now as number 5. Number 4, it is The Avengers. The very first Avengers movie. The movie that brought together Earth's mightiest heroes. It was the first crossover event in the MCU. Obviously, the highlight was, the Battle of New York. That insane, you know, incredible battle, between the Avengers and Loki's army. And that soundtrack still gets me as well. And the soundtrack, it was definitely highlighted by one song that I can think of, which is "Let the Rise" by Soundgarden. And yeah, it talks about that song talks about like heroes falling, but then stepping up at the right moment and becoming heroes and rising like the sun basically. So and it's kind of poetic with how that movie played out and what would follow later on in the timeline. But yes, so that's number 4, The Avengers. Number 3, I have Captain America: The Winter Soldier. This is obviously my favorite Captain America movie. Again, the whole action and espionage type setting. And I just love, the action sequences, between Steve Rogers and the Winter Soldier. And that, holy crap moment when Steve Rogers realizes that the Winter Soldier is his best friend, Bucky Barnes. So, how he's got to deal with all that, plus dealing with the threat from Hydra. And then obviously like dealing with everything that's happening with Nick Fury. So there's a lot on Steve Rogers' plate, a lot of things that he has to, multitask. But yeah, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Again, this is another movie that I, watch repeatedly. It's like obviously one of my favorite, MCU movies to date. All right, so I have 2 more movies left that need to be ranked in my MCU rankings. So Obviously, these two movies I've been like back and forth on over which one would be number one, which one would be number two. So, I mean, this is how I would rank them in my opinion, but obviously, I might change my mind at some point. But I mean, as of right now, this is how I would rank them in my opinion. So, number two, Avengers Infinity War. Uh, Avengers Infinity War, again, this is an incredible, edge of your seat movie. Um, it makes you wonder what's going to happen next. It leaves you guessing, leaves you gasping. And what I've really liked about Avengers Infinity War is, you know, the antagonist, the bad guy, Thanos. When it's all said and done, he won. Thanos won, the bad guy won, the Avengers were defeated. Thanos was able to successfully, capture all the Infinity Stones. He snapped his fingers, and half of all life across the universe ended up getting wiped out. And now the Avengers, well, the remaining Avengers, because some of the members of the Avengers end up getting wiped out as a result of the snap. So the remaining members of the Avengers are now, they're now wondering, where do they go? What do they do from there? And obviously this goes to what I mentioned earlier when I was talking about the first Avengers movie, and that incredible soundtrack, and and what my opinion is the theme for the Avengers, "Live to Rise" by Soundgarden. Like in a time where you're a hero, you've had success, but then you fall only to ignite and rise again. So Avengers Infinity War kind of sets that up. Like, here you have Earth's Mightiest Heroes, but unfortunately they tasted defeat. Now where do they go? How do they rise again? Which leads to obviously the number one movie in my opinion, Avengers Endgame. Earth's Mightiest Heroes find a way to, avenge the fallen. They find a way to, reverse the snap, undo Thanos' snap, bring everyone back, and then obviously, with every action, there's going to be a consequence. There ends up being a consequence, and then they got to deal with that and, the threat from Thanos once again. And they managed to defeat him. They managed to defeat Thanos this time, but it came at a cost. And we all know what the cost was. Obviously, Hulk got banged up, from snapping his fingers to bring everyone back because, due to like the radiation from that he got exposed to, he's the only one that's able to handle that raw power from the Infinity Stones after he snaps his fingers. So Hulk's banged up. Tony Stark, he manages to grab the Infinity Stones at the last minute, and he sacrifices himself by snapping his fingers to wipe out Thanos and his army, and he ended up sacrificing himself. So I thought, Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame are they're very poetic, taking Earth's mightiest heroes who are at the top of the world, who seem to be unstoppable, can't be defeated. They're actually brought down to their knees. And now they got to find a way, to rise again, and avenge everything that they lost, to overcome and defeat this big bad antagonist, and it came at a cost. So it's basically like the growing pains for the Avengers. Like, we've all had all these highs, now we had this major low. How do we bounce back? So, Infinity War and Endgame go hand in hand, and they're both poetic. They're both incredible, fantastic movies. Obviously, both I've seen numerous times. I couldn't even tell you how many times I've seen both of those movies. So, that was my number one movie, Avengers Endgame. So, those are my rankings to date as of it is March 2026. So, I mean, at some point, I might change my mind on a couple of these movies. Obviously, there's going to be more MC movies opening up, and that could shuffle some of these rankings around a little bit. It could move some movies further up, bump some movies up the list, or bump some movies down the list. We all had to, like, wait and see. But, I mean, what do you think? What are your rankings when it comes to the MCU movies? Like, how would you rank all 37, or what are your top 5, your top 10? Do you agree with my rankings? Do you disagree with my rankings? Let me know in the comment section down below. Also, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you on the next video.